Hey, Curl friends, this is Annalise Goree here, founder of Curls on the Block. I'm really excited for today's live. It's been a while. If you're anything like me, it's been a really awesome 6 months into 2025. But I am really excited to bring a special guest who has some really cool information that Curls on the Block definitely wants to amplify and make sure it's connected with the community. And just as a precursor, if you've ever participated in Curls on the Block, or your child has, your curl friends have, you may have heard them talking about the Black doll test. That is one of the activities that we participate in and engage in, learning about the Black doll test and the impact it had on the children who were participants, as well as the impact it had on the nation, which ultimately was a resulting into the desegregation of schools. Children as young as 5 were asked to look at some dolls and identify them using certain adjectives, and the dolls were either black or brown skinned, or white with blue eyes, and brown skin with brown eyes, and it's just simply dolls. And through the course of the questioning, the black kids and the white kids were identifying the black doll as pretty frustrating for viewers like myself, but to find them describing the dolls that look like the black kids, obviously a brown doll, as the negative adjectives: ugly, bad, mean. And again, these are just dolls that kids are ascribing adjectives to. And so when curl friends are watching this redone evaluation, they have a lot of reactions, and it goes into a longer conversation about testing, about self-esteem, and ultimately we move through a lot of the emotions and realizations that come up through the conversation, and identify what the curl friends can do to help a young curl friend who's maybe answering an evaluation in this particular way. So we're watching, evaluations that were redone. So it wasn't the original, but it's still very relevant. And again, our curl friends go through a process where they're asking questions. Some are pretty upset emotionally, and after discussion about the video they watch, they go into small groups and are able to kind of push through with their own ideas. And bringing up my guest for today, I definitely am excited to learn more about a study that is being done for young Black and Femme girls in Colorado. Not necessarily the same Black doll test, but just as important to identify what is going on in our young curl friends' lives. So without further ado, I will bring up Miss Jasmine Peters.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Alice. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for, just being who you are, for one. And then I definitely don't want to mess up your bio and all of the awesome things you have accomplished. So if you have a chance, would you share just a little bit about you, and we'll go into why you're here as well.
Absolutely. I'm happy to. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jasmine Peters, and I am a licensed psychologist and a research associate with the Renee Crown Wellness Institute. I'm originally from Denver, born and raised. Shout out to East High School. Went to CSU for undergrad, and then DU for my master's and my doctorate in counseling psychology. And so since then, I all the training and the transitions, job, and now I'm at CU Boulder's Renee Crown Wellness Institute, just with an exciting opportunity to be able to touch the community and reach the community in ways that I have not had a chance to before, and that I'm really hoping lands. And we'll get into some of the content about who or what the study is and kind of what it is that I'm here to talk about. But I will say that as a Black woman and previously as a young Black girl growing up in Denver, Colorado, I know exactly how isolating and confusing and frustrating it can feel to not really know or understand how the world is responding to you. It recognizes that you feel like you stand out, and there's not a lot of people around that are like you. And if they are, the world is this big, and there's just so much that has to do with appearances and just confidence and feeling like you know who you are, and like you know how to navigate life. So, yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
If you can still hear me, that is good. It is a Friday full of tech issues, and the camera is not giving. But you know what? We will keep going and definitely pull me out of this in a way to continue the conversation here. We have a set of questions that I would love to ask you in order to learn more. Thank you again, and let's see. I heard the little shout out. Okay, East Angels. So definitely a Denver's finest.
Exactly.
And my first question is, what led you to develop this study?
Yeah. So, and I guess I should probably have included in the intro maybe a little more information about the study in general. But so the study that I'm here to talk about today is Mind, Body, Voice, Girls Like Us. And it's a research study that has been designed and created to evaluate the efficacy of an adaptation of an existing program, Mind, Body, Voice. So originally, Mind, Body, Voice was a body image and is a body image and appearance bias curriculum or program with a curriculum that is aimed to address body image issues with young girls and also gender expansive folks as well. And so in the development of that, in development and implementation of that program, there was a recognition that, there's a unique experience for Black girls when it comes to appearances and concerns. And so that's kind of where I came and stepped in a bit and was able to, with the help of my team, adapt the program to really reflect the experiences that Black girls have. And so our research study is really aimed at really centering those experiences, allowing young girls ages 11 to 22 to come together in different groups. So we have like middle school, high school, and young adult groups, so depending on the age. But to be able to come together with someone who's facilitating the content and really talk about what it means to be a Black girl. What does it mean to be a Black femme? What does it mean to try to understand who you are and to develop a sense of agency in this world, right? And so we really want to be able to provide knowledge to these young girls about the history of appearance demands for Black women and the challenges of navigating appearance biases. And so our goal is to create opportunities for young people to see themselves fully and to restructure their personal narratives so that it can bolster confidence in their own self-concept, and again, establish that sense of agency. So that's just a little bit about what the program is. And I feel like I'm talking forever, but I am going to go into a little bit about what has also kind of motivated the development of that program. What we know is happening right now is mental health. Felt like there was something that was just hanging out on my lip there. Mental health concerns for young Black girls are continuing to increase. And what is incredibly scary and alarming is the fact that suicidality is also increasing along with mental health concerns. And in addition to just general mental health, eating concerns are something that the Black community doesn't really address or talk about, and not even just the Black community. They're not really considered when it comes to Black girls and femmes and women in general. However, we do still struggle with that. We do still suffer the consequences of societal pressures to appear a certain way, and that can manifest as body image concerns and body and eating concerns. And so what we do know with young Black girls as well is that it's not just some of the typical societal pressures that we all experience and we all are aware of that contribute to those eating concerns or an increase in disordered eating behaviors. It's also discrimination. It's also the fact that our person, our bodies, our hair, our voice, our speech, everything is so heavily policed, and the world responds to us so critically that acculturative stress, and so many other variables, acculturative stress being like basically how much someone is attempting to conform to the dominant identity's narrative or dominant group's narrative for acceptance, right? So those all of those different things, the fact that we are aggressed against, the fact that we are discriminated against, the fact that those things happen, and we have the an additional pressure of possibly trying to fit in and be accepted by groups of people that may or may not accept us. And that's a stressful experience. All of these things contribute to an increase in eating concerns for young Black girls and overall issues with mental health. And so that's why we're trying to get at, the real. We want to be able to target that for young girls and allow them to really restructure their own narratives and figure out who they are in the context of that.
Absolutely. That's a lot. It's no easy feat. And I just commend you for identifying the importance of the Black girl experience, right? And that's something that I know you can't see my screen or my facials. I'm really excited about because often we're left out even of out of studies, right? We're not deemed necessarily as important. We are typically seen as like 14% of the total population as a Black community, and about half for Black women, but we still count and we still matter, and issues that typically impact us have been identified to be long-standing for overarching issues throughout every community. So it's definitely worth the investigation. And I am so grateful that you have committed to, studying the experiences of the young Black girl. And I am curious, how would you describe using STEAM in your work? So obviously Curls on the Block's effort is to connect what's happening in the real world to, identifying, oh, wait, we're using components of math, we're using some science, and we're using maybe even art, of course, and technology. How would you say you use STEAM in your work, and maybe a throwback to something that you learned in primary and secondary school you never thought you'd use again, but I'll let you think about that and answer.
Yeah, I think, and let me know if there's more specific questions that you have. I'll give you kind of a general response to that. I mean, the fact that we're able to do a research study with a team of Black women led by a Black woman for Black women and girls and femmes is already something that is like really truly meaningful to me and to my team. And research is science, right? And so we're able to take this scientific lens and develop this study so that we can reach our community and answer questions and explore topics that are relevant to our own overall well-being. And so I would just say that even just the fact that we have a quantitative research study as well as a qualitative research study, so numbers and substantive data like words and narratives and stories, to be able to understand what are the things that are happening for our young Black girls, for our young Black femmes, like what do they need, and can the things that we've identified they may need impact in the positive way their mental health. And so and even in the curriculum that we've designed, there are so many opportunities for artistic expression, for emotional expression. And so we're integrating science and art in many ways to be able to engage in this work at all. And so I guess that would be my answer. But if there's something more specific that I can offer, I'm happy to expand on that.
I think that's great. And I think you had a gem in there that it was research is science, I think you said. And I think that is something overlooked, right? And sometimes people are looking at what's a scientist, or what does that person look like, and what do they do, and research is included in that realm. Science is broad. However, the experiments, there's a component of research in every scientific method. Typically we skip over it, right? We're given a lot of the information and don't realize, oh, actually someone did like the research for you in the labs that the kids are doing in class. But I think that definitely resonated with me, for sure. So I definitely appreciate that. And also I wanted to bring out even how you announced your title. You better put some respect on it, right? It's like a doctor, right?
Yes.
And, I know you have you've done a lot of work in your own journey to accomplish that title and an amazing feat. Along with your studies, who else do you work with, and what would their contribution be? What is their contribution? So that way, if someone's scared of a doctoral degree, maybe they're learning like, oh, here's a path of least resistance, or here's how I can also like forge my work to align or be similar or aspire to what you've accomplished. Who's on your team?
Who's on my team? I have let me tell you right now that I have a privilege that I never thought I was going to have, which is to be able to work with a team exclusively on this curriculum of brilliance and motivated and hardworking and fantastic, amazing Black women. And so just shout out to the fact that like, that's what I get to do every single day. And we often are in spaces where we're just kind of, we have an hour-long meeting, it's turned into an hour and a half, it's turned into 2 hours, because we're able to do the work and integrate so much laughter and fun and meaning and intention in what we're doing as well. And then and that is the work too. It's not just that we're like, messing around, but we're so engaged and so enthralled in that we're all willing to just like stay at work a little later, which is wild. I don't know about y'all, but I know that's hard to come by. And most of the time when folks are done working, they're ready to be done. But I work with, so I have a graduate research assistant that's getting her she's getting her doctorate in social psychology, excuse me. And her name is Sheba Akaiwa. I'm like, my voice is getting all like shaky there. I'm so sorry. And then I have 2 amazing professional research assistants that work with me, Amita Nagena and Kide Kokole. And then I also have an undergraduate student who has been on the project for quite some time as well, Allison Afori. And so that's who's on our team. And, you see a range. You see people who are, again, Sheba is getting her doctorate. And so she is kind of already in that world, has already had a lot of experience with research. And then we have Kide and Amita, both from very different backgrounds, with, I guess I don't know how much I was actually planning to share their background. So I'll hold off on that just because I'll go ahead and allow their business to be private. But they both come from very different backgrounds that are not necessarily research-based, with at least for one. And then Allison's still in undergrad and studying psychology, but being able to be curious. And the beautiful part about this curriculum is that we were able to again, like develop that together and continue to develop that and continue to think about it. And every perspective matters. Whether or not, yes, love a Black Girl Squad, whether or not they know research intimately, we know us. And there's questions that need to be asked, right? And when you're steeped in research so often, it's easy to kind of just get used to the process. And so having fresh perspectives, fresh opinions, because this is a topic that we all hold dear to our hearts and in our lives, and have developed professional identities around. So many things end up happening organically. And so for anybody who's ever interested in research but not sure how to get to research, I would strongly and highly recommend just like putting your feelers out there, right? And kind of seeing what types of things what does research even look like? What can it look like? I think that's something that my team has found, whether they've had their experiences with research or not, has found that there's versatility. There's a lot of different options that one can have.
That's really awesome to hear. Just the commentary, the Black Girl Squad, right? It is powerful. It is something unique, and we're not typically afforded an opportunity to work in a space that is valued, and where we turn left and right, and it's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You can kind of breathe in a way that I think allows for you to focus on the work at hand and not the environment necessarily all the time. And to that point, I wanted to ask if someone was interested in participating or supporting this study, what are the next steps available?
Yes. So, and here's where I'm gonna put on my researcher voice and try to give you all this information in a way that's as concise as possible, very clear. So right now we currently have 2 different research studies that we're running. And so one of them is the quantitative study that I was talking about, right? The differences between qualitative and quantitative. So quantitative being that we have measures that we have measures that we would like our participants to fill out after participating in the program, and we will analyze that data. And so so for the first study, we created this curriculum. It's about 12 hours. And so we have different offerings for the curriculum. And it's designed to, and let me just go ahead and pull up my notes. I'm trying to talk as I'm looking for them, but let me just pause for a second so that I make sure I'm delivering this correctly and clearly. So the program in general is designed to teach, as I mentioned, the historical context of appearance concerns, appearance demands, and discrimination for Black women, and designed to help them develop skills and tools to be able to externalize some of those potential harms that can come in the form of psychological harm, emotional harm, mental, physical harm, as a result of microaggressions, discrimination, racism, misogynoir in general. And it's all of the things that can happen around misogynoir. For those of you who may not have heard of that term before, misogynoir combines misogyny and noir, which is French for Black. So we get us Black girls, us Black women, we get our own little special term for a specific type of a specific experience, a specific type of discrimination that is unique to us. And so we give our participants the tools to be able to identify when that's happening, to be able to make choices about their lives, excuse me, and understand the historical context behind things that don't feel great and that don't necessarily center the person, but rather centering the appearance or the stereotypes, right? And so we have a 12-hour curriculum. We have 2 different offerings right now. One is a 2-day, 6-hour meeting. And so as an example, you might meet on 2 consecutive Wednesdays for 6 hours. Or we have a 4-session, 3-hour option. So we've broken the curriculum down so that every single meeting is about 3 hours. And so we asked for participants to engage in the curriculum for one of those offerings. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have middle school, high school, and young adult group offerings. And then during those sessions is when you learn all of these skills, learn all of this history. We also try to connect the students, we do have material that connects the students or the participants to grounding practices, mindfulness practices, ways to be still, right? We're talking about interrogating what it means to be a strong Black woman. What is colorism? What is your understanding of colorism? When do you feel hypervisible or invisible? These are the things and the themes that we are exploring and that we're exploring with the students or with the participants of this study. And so after they've participated during the facilitation of the program, participants are asked to fill out 4 different surveys. So we have a pre-survey or baseline survey, and that must be completed before they begin the program, a midpoint survey when they're halfway done, and then a post survey that they take as soon as they're done with the program, as well as a 5-month follow-up survey. So it's 4 different time points, and they receive $50 compensation for each survey they complete. As of right now, what we are able to offer is a gift card to either Starbucks, Amazon, or Target. And so that is the compensation that we offer for students. And so there's an opportunity to earn up to $200 in gift cards if they choose to participate in the study and also complete those surveys. They are getting compensated for the surveys. I just want to be really clear about that part. And so we have those group offerings happening right now. I do want to mention this time sensitive piece. There is one of our high school groups that is happening in the Denver area. It's in person. It's for high school students, and it begins on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, June 11th. And so for anyone who might be interested in signing their child up, you actually do need parent permission. Let me actually be very clear about that. If you are not 18 or older, you will need parent permission to enroll, express interest, and participate in the study. So if you have a child or if you're 18 and in high school and you want to enroll in the study, you have until Monday, June 9th at noon 12 p.m. to be able to submit an enrollment form. There's a lot of different steps and a lot of back end work on the back end that we have to do to make sure that you're fully enrolled. And so we need to just give us enough time. But that group takes place on Wednesdays and Fridays for June 11th, June 13th, June 18th, and June 20th from 1 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And so I wanted to at least mention that there will be other group offerings as well for high school students, middle school students, and young adult participants later in this, or throughout the summer, really. I think our last facilitation takes place on July 16th or 17th. And so throughout June and July, we'll be facilitating. And so please check us out with the link below, or the link that is in the chat, excuse me. And so that's just study number one. For our second study, we explore colorism within the program, and we had to take a step back and ask ourselves, we're asking youth about colorism. We're creating a whole module that addresses this. Do we understand what they know about colorism? Because when did I even hear that term first, right? When did I understand the nuances of what that meant? And asking the team and us having these conversations, we recognized, I'm not really sure that we can answer that question. We're not really sure that we can confidently say what youth know and understand, Black girls and femmes know and understand about how colorism impacts their experiences in terms of appearance biases and appearance concerns and body image concerns. And so that's what the second study is. It's our qualitative study, which is me and my research team. We will be conducting interviews and have been conducting interviews with individual Black girls and femmes. This is for ages 14 to 22. And so if you're interested in signing up, again, please use the enrollment link. You are able to, you can fill out the submission form. We'll reach out to you to schedule a time for the interview should you be eligible for the study. It is for Colorado residents only. Both studies are only for Colorado residents. And an important note is that you cannot take part in the colorism study if you have already done the m.b.v GLU program study. So if you would like to do both, please, please, please reach out and get the colorism study completely out of the way before you enroll into a program study. Just because there's some things that overlap and and we want to make sure that we're separating those things out. For the colorism study, it's 2 interviews, again, with me and a member of my research team or a member of my research team. And we'll just ask you some questions about your Black experience, about your experiences with colorism and how it relates to appearance concerns and discrimination. And that information is what we want to take and kind of compile to make sure that we're addressing the right things in our curriculum, and that we can inform other types of curriculum and just work in general about how Black girls understand colorism in the context of their appearance and their appearance concerns and possible discrimination. I'm sure that I missed something, but for now, I'm going to pause there.
You know what? I think you said a lot. You said the most pertinent information, which is, I think, the top 3 things. You have to be a Colorado resident.
Yes.
There's specific age ranges, middle and high school and adult. And then you have it's strongly encouraged to participate in the colorism study via the interviews first, if you're eligible.
Let me verify. Sorry, jump real quick. It's not strongly encouraged, it's required. And so if we had some flexibility around that, we would love to be able to apply that, but you are not eligible to participate in the colorism study if you have already done the program study.
Right. But if they wanted to do both, they have to do the colorism first. So yeah. And it's encouraged. You can do both. So that's but that's the order.
That is the order.
So it's encouraged to do both, and in order to do both, you have to do the colorism study first. And then I think a great way to incentivize the time and contribution is compensation via the gift card. So I think that's great. And hopefully, as we're coming to time here, I did want to know one maybe thing that, well, you actually already addressed it. It is something interesting that came out of the other work you were doing, which is the fact that you recognize colorism as a component of a conversation, and it's like your main, point of conversation and exploration. But the reality that exposure and understanding may be limited. So I think that was really, really powerful to acknowledge. And I think even grappling with it, I know you're not providing counseling necessarily, but I think, what I and Curls on the Block's experience with it, definitely it comes up in questions that girls have. And we also deal with what's changed into texturism. And so a lot of times, colorism, texturism, and the isms that exist even in intra community is like really hard to grapple with. And I actually do a lot of training prior to the facilitators participating, because the very reason why you're like, whoa, hey, colorism's a real issue here, and not really good explanations or understandings of how it's actually impacting. Because the first part, you got to know what it is to understand that it's impacted you. I think a lot of people say they've never even experienced racism, because sometimes their definition is not the sociological definition, and most people don't live by that. But that I digress on that piece. But it's definitely reassuring that you identified this information and those results ahead before you kept moving forward and were able to have another opportunity to dive deeper. If there's anything else that I would like to find out, is when do we find the results of these studies?
Yeah, so we're hoping to wrap the first study, the program study, up by, as I mentioned, July 17th. And so once the study is completed, then we'll kind of, engage in data analysis and start to write the manuscript. And so I can get back to you. I think our goal is to have I'll say, just to be to give ourselves a little space, it would be great to have the manuscript by next summer. However, there's a lot that comes up. And so I can't say with certainty exactly when we'll have those results. And I would actually say the same for study 2, our colorism study. Once we wrap the studies up, we'll be able to analyze those results and start to write up the manuscript. And so I will certainly share that information with you as soon as we have it.
Much appreciated. Any final thoughts, any advice for future researchers?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And for allowing me to share this information. One thing I realize I missed for the colorism study, it's 2 interviews. You get $25, a $25 gift card of your choice, Amazon, Starbucks, or Target. For each interview. So a total of up to $50 for participation in the second colorism study. But to your question about anything that I have for future researchers, research is hard and it can be intimidating, but it's not impossible, and it's not as inaccessible as it seems when you find the people who are committed to doing the work that you want to do, that you believe in, and that identify with your guiding principles. And so really make sure that you understand what those are, stand on business, and figure out ways to understand the terrain and the environment that you're in and what you are allowed to do. Especially if you're doing research with a community, whether it's yours or a community that you don't belong to, the community is the community. And if they communicate to you what they need, listen to that. We have a lot of demands coming from different systems and institutions that we're in, and it can sometimes motivate us or encourage us or necessitate in some situations for us to stop listening to the community. But you cannot do that, right? And they're not just your research subjects. They're people. They're people who matter. They're people that you need. And so remember that, and to move with respect and honor and consideration for the needs of the people that you are aiming to show up for, the people that you are wanting to answer this question about, to support. So stand on business, recognize that people are people, and understand the environments that you're in so that you can make informed decisions about how you want to show up. And that's all I got.
So powerful. Respecting the participants is huge. I think it takes certain care, and in this particular space, definitely benefiting from group of Black women whose, you know, intention is so authentic and genuine. It's definitely helpful. And, you know, standing on business, shoot, it's, you know, scary sometimes, but necessary. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing those gems with us, and want to encourage you to continue on, and let's fill up these groups and
Yes.
studies, and get the results out. And we do appreciate you again investing in, you know, your own community, but also the experiences of young Black girls. Um, and in particular for Colorado, you know, it's
Yeah.
such a unique space and
Mhm.
state. It's also a microcosm. It's considered a microcosm of the United States with all of the different components. And so, what is again an example of, you know, Black women forging the way? What we can learn can impact in understanding for Black women, possibly across the nation. Again, different states, different issues, but you know, it definitely can. I look forward to it being added to the shelves of research available. So thank you again for your time. Everyone, check out the links, share this video, and get on it. If you have a high schooler, get them registered
Yeah.
and start the paperwork so they can participate by June
11.
11th. Excuse
This
me.
coming Wednesday. This coming
Yeah,
Wednesday. Get those submission forms and get those enrollment forms excuse me,
absolutely.
by Monday at noon. And if you miss it, there are still other groups that are happening, but definitely get yourself enrolled soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
All
Take
right.
care. Have a great weekend. And I'm so sorry, my camera is all snapped. This is what keeps coming up. So I don't, I'm going to take this up with the people in IT. My IT department is me.
Period.
But thanks again. And I look forward to seeing you actually even and explain the study and the benefits of it, possibly to our Camp Curly participants in July. So thanks again. Take care.
Awesome. Take care. Thank you.